It wasn't from here. It grabbed me like it was alive. I gripped my torn coat, my hands still trembling. A machine dragged you through the woods, Mr. Taylor. Constable Wark squints at his notepad. Mary, my wife, points at my shredded clothes, her voice sharp with fear. Look at the mud, the bruises. You think he did this himself? Constable Wark stares at the deep gouges in the forest floor. His pen stills and his voice drops to a whisper. Then what in God's name was out there? The trees stand silent. No bird sings. I meet Mary's haunted eyes, but I have no answer. It was November 9th, 1979, a cold morning in West Lothian, Scotland. Frost still clung to the grass, and the trees stood bare, the wind whispering faintly through the dense woodlands near Decmont Law. I parked my pickup at the edge of the forest and stepped out with Laura, my loyal red and white setter, trotting at my side. I wasn't the type of man to chase wild fantasies. I had been a royal engineer, a forestry worker, a husband. My job was practical, methodical, rooted in the earth and trees around me. That morning was supposed to be like any other, a walk into the woods to check on the grounds. But what I stumbled into changed the way I looked at the world forever. As we made our way deeper, Laura suddenly stiffened, ears pricking forward. A low growl rumbled from her throat. I followed her gaze and felt my stomach tighten. In a small clearing ahead, something hovered in the air. At first glance, it looked like a massive dome, dark gray and metallic, about 20 feet across. It hung silently, half transparent, like a shimmering mirage in the frosty air. I stopped dead in my tracks. My God, what is that? I whispered. The surface seemed to ripple, as though it wasn't entirely solid. Then, before my eyes, two smaller spheres detached from its base. They rolled toward me across the grass, making a strange plopping sound, as though the earth itself resisted them. Each one was the size of a sea mine, covered with metallic spikes. I stumbled backward, heart pounding. Laura barked furiously, snapping at the air. Suddenly, the spiked spheres clamped onto my trousers, yanking me forward. I tried to kick them off, but they held with inhuman strength. A sharp tug burned against my legs, and then an acrid stench filled my nose. Burning brakes, sulfur, something foul. "Laura!" I cried, just before my vision blurred and darkness swallowed me. When I came to, I was lying face down on the damp grass. The strange dome was gone. My dog whined and nudged at my sleeve. My head throbbed and my throat felt raw. Shakily, I pushed myself upright. My trousers were torn in an odd circular fashion, as if hooked by machinery. My legs ached with bruises deep under the skin. I staggered back to my truck, but when I tried the ignition, the engine refused to turn over. Panic rising, I half walked, half stumbled the mile back home. When I staggered through the door, Mary gasped. "Robert, what happened to you?" I saw something in the wood," I managed, still trembling. "It wasn't a plane. Wasn't anything I've ever seen." It came at me, grabbed me. "You're bleeding," she said, staring at my torn clothes. "Look at your trousers." The tears were clean, ripped in a pattern no barbed wire or bramble could have made. She steadied me and urged me to call the police. When the officers arrived, I told them everything. My voice shook, but I held to the truth. "I know how it sounds, but I saw a machine. It wasn't from here." One constable frowned at my trousers, lifting the fabric carefully. "Looks like you were dragged by something. Maybe some kind of equipment?" "No equipment I've ever seen," I said firmly. They agreed to come back to the clearing with me. What they found made them uneasy. The grass was flattened in a perfect circle, about 20 feet across, just where I had seen the dome. Beyond that, strange indentations marked the ground, as though heavy spiked objects had rolled across the earth. Detective Sergeant Wark bent down to examine them. These look like tractor marks, but not like any I've seen before. Too regular, too clean. One officer muttered, "This isn't just a story. Something was here." Later at the doctor's office, they examined my grazes and bruises. My blood pressure was through the roof. A nurse leaned close and asked gently, "Mr. Taylor, are you sure it wasn't a hallucination?" I looked her straight in the eye. "I know what I saw. I could smell it, touch it. I was there." Soon the newspapers got wind of it. Headlines blared, "Forestry worker attacked by UFO." Reporters swarmed the house. Some of my neighbors scoffed. Others whispered. My colleague James Duncan defended me to the press. "Robert's no liar. If he says he saw it, then he saw it. He's the most honest man I know." Still, skeptics offered their explanations. Some said I'd suffered a seizure or a hallucination from temporal lobe epilepsy. Others claimed carbon monoxide poisoning, but the doctors found no trace of either. And what about the torn trousers? The ground markings? That night, my friend Hugh sat with me by the fire. "Robert, you're sure it wasn't some military craft? A test gone wrong?" I shook my head. "Hugh, I served with the engineers. I've seen every machine you can name. This wasn't ours. This wasn't theirs. It was something else." He leaned closer. "And it touched you." I raised the torn trousers in my lap. The fabric ripped where the spike spheres had grabbed me. Not just touched me, it grabbed me, like it was alive, or programmed to catch me. The police report listed the case as assault by person or persons unknown. To this day, it's one of the only UFO incidents in Britain treated as a criminal investigation. The Ministry of Defense received the report, but offered little explanation. Off the record, one official admitted to a journalist, "Between you and me, this isn't something we can easily dismiss. But officially, we'll call it inconclusive." I never once changed my story, not until my dying day. I wasn't seeking fame or money. I simply told the truth. I had touched something beyond my comprehension, and it had touched me back. Some said it was technology from another world. Others said it was a trick of my brain, but the clearing remained. The marks remained, and the torn trousers remained. Even now, hikers walk through Deshmont Woods and find that spot. They look around, half expecting to see a shimmer in the air or hear the plopping sound of rolling spheres. I still remember the way it smelled, the way it pulled, the way the world fell away when I blacked out. And I remember the words I said to a reporter, words I stand by to this day. "I don't care if they laugh. I know what I saw. It was there. It was real. And it will stay with me until my last breath." If this video made you skeptical, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more UFO stories they don't want you to see. Your support is how we fight for the truth and bring you the most compelling evidence on this planet. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.